It all started when I was a little boy. I was somewhat of a fast learner, which led my parents to believe I was a prodigy. They wanted me to be one of these miracle children who were able to read Quran at a very young age. I was able to read when I was only 3 years old, but I still had the attention span of a fly, so I couldn't focus enough to memorize Quran. Their solution was buying me small Quran books that tell the stories of the prophets with colorful drawings. I loved these books. I managed to become Hafiz at the age of 5. One day I stumbled upon a big book that tells the story of the magnificent Sindbad. I fell in love with him. He was the prophet of the 5 years old me. His miracle was his wisdom and faithfulness to Allah. And then it happened. I called him a prophet in front of my parents. They laughed. That's just a tall story. What's a tall story? It's a fictional story which has fantastical elements. Is the Quran a tall story? No, Quran was written by Allah. Tall stories are written by humans. But I've read the Quran was written by a human and told by a human. Doesn't that make it a tall story? My uncle heard my last reply. Out of anger, he broke the VCD player, then took its cable and started whipping me with it. I started bleeding from my back and front. After a long session of him whipping me with the cable, he stopped and ordered me to pray for forgiveness. Hell will be much worse than that, he said. I burst into tears from all the horror. My father approached me and asked, "What's wrong?" I told him what just happened and he asked, "Did you pray for forgiveness?" I said no. He started beating me. I was then forced to pray and ask for forgiveness and mercy for myself and my parents. At the age of 5, I know God isn't a good person, nor is my family. I submitted to Islam and kept my thoughts inside. I met a very wholesome Muslim guy. He wasn't like the other kids. He was into science and logic and not into violent behaviors like the other kids. I liked the dude and we became brothers in arms. We studied Quran together, prayed together, and watched MP3 together. We kept it that way for years. One day I noticed he was acting strange. For some reason he seemed sad and worried. I didn't know what was wrong. I thought he must be getting bullied by someone. I decided to look after that excuse of a human being. A friend of mine came to me and told me everything. My pal is an atheist, a homosexual atheist. He was still the same person and my brother in arms, so I didn't mind it much. I started talking about how God never made sense to me. How many times I prayed for Palestine, yet people are still suffering and getting murdered. He agreed. He started crying and said, "I'm glad to be your pal. You're the best thing that happened to me." Then we cried together. My father woke me up with a kick in the guts. He started beating me, calling me Zamil. That son of a snitched on me, I thought. I denied my father's claim and started reciting some ayat about mercy and forgiveness. Then I quoted this ayah. My father cooled down for the moment, then asked me to come with him. I followed, expecting him to take me to an imam. I was right until the imam got into our car. We drove to the desert where my friend's family was. My friend was tied, bruised, and was bleeding. The imam started reading some Quran, and after he finished, he ordered me to throw a stone at my friend. I could do nothing but comply. I did it and a hail of stones followed. His father, my father, his older brothers, and the imam were all stoning him. He died that day. The next day was his funeral that no one attended except his mother and his sisters, who did it reluctantly. Managing life here is easy for me since I learned that I have to lie from a very young age. The best lie is to never mention it. I always shut down conversations about LGBTQ. I keep my opinions to myself and keep quiet about my sexuality.